You know that quiet little voice in your head? The one that's always on, kind of narrating your life? It doesn't shout, it just whispers. And whatever it whispers, we tend to believe it. Over time, we don't even hear them as stories anymore. We hear them as facts. We hear them as me. Let's just listen in on a few of those whispers, shall we? Here's this one. You know that feeling, right? A wave of joy just washes over you, and all of a sudden, you don't just feel happy, you become it. Your entire identity, right there in that one moment, is, I am happy.
And then there's this one. It's the end of a long day. You feel the weight of everything on your shoulders. The energy just drains away, and the story completely changes. Now it's, I am tired. And it's not just a feeling in your body, is it? It becomes the absolute definition of who you are in that moment. It feels like every single cell in your body is whispering that same story.
And of course, it doesn't stop with feelings. We wrap our whole identity around our roles. I am a manager, and bam, suddenly we're wearing this invisible suit of expectations. I am a parent, and our very sense of self just merges with this mix of love and worry and responsibility. Or maybe it's a physical state. I am sick. That's a story so powerful, it can change the color of every other experience we have. See, these aren't just labels. They're like the crowns we wear, the uniforms we put on every single day without even realizing it.
And this is the question that sits quietly behind all of those stories. When the happiness fades, and you know it always does. When you wake up in the morning feeling refreshed. When you finally retire, or the kids have grown up, or the sickness passes. After all the costumes have been put away. Who's left? Who is the you that's still standing there when the story changes? That's what we're going to gently explore together. Now, before we dive in, it's really important to get one thing straight. This isn't some personal flaw or a mistake you need to fix. This is a fundamental part of the human experience. It's a simple and honestly a profound case of mistaken identity that every single one of us plays a part in every single day. So why do we do this? Well, because we're wired to look for stability. I mean, think about it. Life is like a river of constant change, right? Our bodies are changing, our emotions are up and down, our jobs, our relationships, everything is in flux. And right in the middle of this flowing river, we're all just looking for a solid rock to stand on. A stable, unchanging sense of me that we can hold on to. This deep, deep search for an inner anchor is the hidden engine behind so much of what we do. There's this ancient quote from the philosopher Shankaracharya that just perfectly captures our situation. Imagine a perfectly still, full moon in the night sky. It's serene, it's whole, it's unchanging. Now, look down at its reflection in a lake that's being rippled by the wind. That reflection, it's trembling, it's breaking apart, it looks totally agitated. But here's the question. Has the real moon in the sky changed at all? Of course not. The disturbance isn't in the moon. It's in the water, the thing that's reflecting it. And this is the absolute core of our mistaken identity. We mistake the trembling reflection, our feelings, our thoughts, our bodily states for our true self, which, just like that moon, is always still, always serene. So how does this mistake actually happen? How do we get so fooled by the reflection? Well, there's this beautifully simple way to understand it, and it's all built around one single concept that's like a key that unlocks the whole puzzle. And it all starts with imagining a clear crystal. Okay, the key to this entire idea is one concept called upadhi. An upadhi is basically a conditioning factor. Think of it like this. It's something you place near an object, and it seems to lend its own qualities to that object. And the most important word in that whole sentence is seemingly. The change isn't real. It's just an illusion that's created by closeness. So let's build this out. Picture a perfectly clear, luminous crystal. It has no color of its own. It's totally pure, transparent, flawless. This crystal represents your true nature, your essential self. It doesn't really do anything, it just is.
Okay, now, in your mind, take a vibrant red flower and place it right next to that clear crystal. What happens? Instantly, the whole crystal just glows with this deep red color. It appears to have become red. The quality of the flower, its redness, has seemingly just been transferred right onto the crystal.
And here it is. This is the most important question. Has the crystal actually become red? I mean, if you were to wash it, would a red stain come off? No, of course not. The moment you move that flower away, the crystal is revealed for what it always was. Perfectly clear, colorless, and completely unchanged. The redness was never in the crystal. It was just an appearance, a temporary illusion created by proximity. So, let's just give these two things their proper names so we're clear. The red flower, that is the upadhi. It's the thing that lends its color. In our lives, our body, our mind, our emotions, our thoughts, these are all upadhis. They're all red flowers. And the crystal, that's called the upahitam. It's the thing that seems to receive the color. And that is you, pure unchanging consciousness. The entire mistake we make day in and day out is thinking the color of the flower actually belongs to the crystal.
Let's use a more down-to-earth example. Think about a king in his crown. The crown, that's the upadhi. It provides the temporary identity of king. But is the person under the crown inherently a king? No, of course not. The kingness belongs entirely to the crown. The moment you take it away, that royal identity just vanishes, but the person underneath remains completely and totally unchanged. Our job titles, our roles, our social status, being a manager, a teacher, a parent, these are all just crowns we wear. They are not who we are.
All right, so if our bodies, our minds, and our roles are all just like that red flower or the crown, what exactly are these layers we keep mistaking for our true self? This ancient wisdom actually maps them out with incredible precision. So let's peel them back, one by one.
We tend to experience life through three main layers, or what are called bodies. Each one is a super powerful upadhi. First, you've got the most obvious one, the gross body, our physical form. This is where the stories like I am tall, I am old, or I feel pain come from. Then there's the subtle body, which is our mind, our intellect, our energy. This is the source of all those stories like I am so emotional today, I'm not smart enough, or even just I am hungry. And then there's a really fascinating one called the causal body. Think about deep, dreamless sleep. When you wake up and you say, wow, I slept so well, I knew absolutely nothing. That sense of nothing that you identified with, that's the causal body.
Now, we can also map this whole territory out with even more detail, using what are called the 5 sheaths, or koshas. Imagine them like those nested Russian dolls. The outermost doll is the food sheath. That's the physical body. Inside that is the energy sheath, our vitality, our breath. Inside that, the mental sheath, our emotions. Then the intellectual sheath, our thoughts and beliefs. And here's the most subtle one of all, the bliss sheath. Even that profound feeling of peace or joy we might feel in meditation or in deep sleep, that's still just another layer. When we say, I feel so blissful, we're still identifying with a passing cloud. Every single sheath is just another color, another temporary reflection on that unchanging crystal.
And here's what happens when we identify with all these layers. Imagine the vast, infinite open sky. Now picture a clay pot sitting on the ground. There's space inside the pot, right? But is that space any different from the space outside the pot? No, it's the exact same space. All the pot does is create the illusion of a boundary. It makes the space inside seem small, contained, and separate. Our bodies and minds, they're just like that pot. They create this powerful illusion that the consciousness within us is limited, personal, and separate from the infinite consciousness that's all around us. We feel like a small, separate self, when in reality, we are the limitless space itself.
And this whole idea of a conditioning factor scales up in a pretty mind-blowing way. When that one single, limitless consciousness is seen through the tiny little lens of your individual body and mind, it appears as an individual, what some call a jiva. And it feels small and separate and often like it's suffering. But what happens when you look at that exact same consciousness through the massive lens of the entire universe, all of creation? Well, then it appears as something vast, cosmic, all-knowing, what some call Ishwara. It's the same light. It's just being seen through 2 different windows. One is tiny, and one is as big as everything. The real insight here is realizing you are not just the view from the tiny window.
So, after understanding this whole mechanism of mistaken identity, what are we supposed to do? How do we stop being so mesmerized by the color and finally see the crystal for what it is? Well, the path forward isn't about struggle or fighting or getting rid of anything. It's just a gentle but profound shift in vision. It's a process of simply seeing what has been here the entire time.
So here is the most crucial point in all of this. This is not about getting rid of your body, or silencing your mind, or escaping the world. The upadhis, the body, the mind, the red flower, the crown, they're all going to continue to exist. The goal is not to destroy them. The goal is to destroy the false notion that they are you. It's a cognitive shift. It's simply about correcting an error in our understanding. The problem was never the red flower. The problem was the mistaken belief that the crystal is red. The path to making this shift real is traditionally described in 3 really simple stages. First, we listen. We truly, deeply hear the idea that we are not these temporary layers, but the silent, aware presence behind them. Second, we reflect.
We don't just take it on faith, we investigate it for ourselves in our own lives. We start to ask, is this really true? Am I this wave of anger, or am I the one who is aware of the anger? We test it against our own direct experience. And finally, we contemplate. We just rest in this new understanding, allowing it to sink in, to move from being a cool idea in our head to becoming the very way we see and experience the world.
And let's come back to our crystal one last time. Think about it. If the crystal were truly stained red, you would need to scrub it and wash it and put in a whole lot of effort to get it clean. But because the redness is just an appearance, a reflection from a nearby flower, there's zero effort needed to clean the crystal. The only work to be done is to simply shift your vision, to see that the crystal was never stained in the first place. The freedom we're all looking for isn't something we have to achieve or create. It's something to be discovered. It's a freedom that is already our fundamental nature.
So we end right back where we began, with a gentle question. The next time one of those stories comes up, I am anxious, I am successful, I am a failure. Just try to see it for what it is, a passing color, a temporary crown, a reflection in rippling water. And then, just gently ask yourself, what remains when you set aside these stories? When the flower is moved, when the crown is taken off, when the water finally becomes still, what is always already here?